What's up everyone, Lion Roar here, and we've got some new villains in Empires and Puzzles, so let's talk about them. Before I dive in, check out this brand new game called Gemstone Legends, which I've been playing for a little while. It is a super cool take on the match 3 style of gameplay, but it's a lot deeper than a lot of the games that I've seen up to this point. And I'm curious to know what you think, so if you want to download it, in the description of this video, you're going to find a link and a code #lion#, which you can use to get some free stuff. Now, that's the only way to get some free stuff, so you're going to want to make sure to download it from that. But when you do, Gemstone Legends was very generous to my viewers, so you're going to get some really good stuff to start off on the right foot. All right, now for today's content. The League of Villains event is up, and with it comes a bunch of brand new heroes. So I'm going to go through all of them, starting with the 3 stars, then the 4 stars, and then finally, there's a number of 5 stars. So I'm going to go through all of them. We're going to do a breakdown, and then I'm going to give them grades. I am going to save the best one for last, but I do have some beef with that best one, even though I like it a lot. So I'm going to talk about that when I get there. You're going to want to make sure to watch the whole thing here. We're going to start off with a 3-star purple hero named Ed, who is a ranger and gets the Villains Family bonus, which is similar to a lot of the other events and seasons, which gives 5% or 15% chance to heal 10% or 30% of dealt damage when attacking an enemy. So that's going to be true of all the heroes in the villain family, of course. So I'm not going to read that one every time because that's what it is. That's actually a pretty good one. I think that is going to be relevant if you bring multiple heroes in this particular family. So that's actually a relatively significant family bonus. Sometimes these bonuses don't mean much, but in this case, I kind of like that a lot. Heroes that are aggressive, which a lot of these villains are, and are gaining life along the way, tend to actually be a pretty good pair. So I do like that family bonus a lot. Now, as far as the base stats go, this is a very high attack for a 3-star hero, and he is fast speed and deals 290% damage to the target, so he is a 3-star sniper, and that's primarily how you're going to use Ed. The second ability is the target's immune to new buffs for 3 turns. That could be relevant, especially in 3-star tournaments and things like that, where you need to do that to one opposing hero. It's not a super inspiring ability that this particular sniper has. It's a relatively vanilla sniper. So for that reason, I'm going to give Ed a B, because I think there are better 3-star purple heroes, ones that I have leveled up that I like to take. And so, you know, Ed would be a good like second or third choice in a lot of cases, and he's going to be good on offense and defense. But since he's vanilla, he doesn't have a lot of special abilities. That's why I'm giving him a B. Doesn't stand out as being like game breaking or anything like that. Skretch is next, a 3-star red hero who is a rogue, and that is a really good class. So if you can afford to put emblems on a 3-star hero, which many of you can, then he's going to be pretty good. Like if you're a newer player to the game, or you're in the mid game and you have a lot of extra emblems and things, definitely. If you're a late game player and you have nothing else to do with emblems, sure, late game players are going to find difficulty putting emblems on a hero like this, but rogue class is one of the better ones. So that does give Skretch a few bonus points. Of course, there's that family bonus there. Another high attack stat at 493. This is an average speed hero, though. Kind of suffers from not being able to have a level 23 mana troop when you're in like 3-star tournament battles and things like that. So that's kind of a bummer. That does slow him down a little bit, but average is okay. He deals 165% damage to the target and nearby enemies. The caster and nearby allies get plus 45% attack and a further 20% increase for every time they are hit during 3 turns. That's actually a relatively good ability. I don't think the damage percent is a lot. When I first saw that, I was like, that's not great. And unfortunately, the attack bonus isn't long enough for you to be able to use the special and then probably use it again to take advantage of that. So it's a little bit of a mismatch in ability there. You can't synergize within himself, but what you're going to have to do is pair him with 2 other heroes that you want to give an attack boost for. This hero I can see being used in some cases, not in other cases. I think he's okay. You know, I could see him being used in an event for 3-star heroes because that increased attack, that buff, is really good when you're trying to do a lot of tile damage. And I do find in the tournaments and things like that with 3-star heroes that you are trying to do a lot of tile damage. So while his percent damage isn't that impressive to me, you are going to benefit from that huge attack increase that he's giving. That's huge for a 3-star hero anyway, to himself and the nearby allies. And you do want this in events and things like that. So while there's some plus and minuses there, they kind of even out a little bit, and I end up at a B with him because I don't think that he's super versatile where like you're going to use him in every situation. Certainly not. And in fact, he's more attack heavy than defense, so you're probably not using him on defense all that much. But if you do, like, he's not a great tank. Like, the stats don't, and the special doesn't really make him a great tank. There's much better tanks. He could be a better flank. You would never put a hero like this on the wing, though. It's just too slow, and you need to make sure that him and his nearby allies get the bonus there. So that's why I settled on a B with Skretch. Engulf is the first 4-star hero we're looking at. Another purple hero who is a fighter. Another great class for a hero if you put emblems on him. The stats are relatively mediocre for a 4-star hero. 633 attack, 684 defense, which is pretty good for defense, and then 1268. But, you know, those are okay. Like, it's not standing out as like a really aggressive type of base stat anyway. Deals 185% damage to the target and nearby allies, which with a lower attack stats, really not that great. Reduces the duration of the target and nearby enemies' buffs for 1 turn. And lastly, the target and nearby enemies receive corrosive poison for 3 turns. The corrosive poison deals 50 poison damage and lowers the target's mana generation by -9% each turn. This is a slow hero, and this hero is really going to suffer for this, because this special really wants you to get underneath other heroes' specials. That -9% to the mana generation could be a really powerful ability, except that Engulf is probably going to be the last hero to be firing, and at that point all the other heroes have gone off, so what are you trying to slow down, you know? And if Engulf turns out to be like a really powerful hero, which he's not, but if he did, they would have enough time anyway just to kill him if he's on defense, right? Or if you're on offense, you know, if he happens to live, you're probably going to have some other dead heroes, or you're just rocking the board and would win anyway with other heroes. I think the best thing about this particular hero is the corrosive poison for 3 turns that deals 50 poison damage. That's actually quite a lot for a 4-star. 150 damage total over 3 turns is pretty good for this level of hero, but it's slow. Again, that's not great. And there's other heroes that are much faster that do similar things, if not better. And so for this reason, like, I can't see this being a great hero on defense. I can't see it being a great hero on offense. I really don't know what you use this hero for. And you know what? Maybe I'm missing something. You can put it in the comments if I'm missing something. You know, I definitely enjoy feedback and what you all are thinking about too, because I don't pretend to be like the master of all empires and puzzles, but let me know if you see a use for him. I don't. And for that reason, I'm giving Engulf an F. I also should say with that too, that I use the whole grading scale, A through F. So like a C to me is a hero that's going to be used and going to be good in some circumstances, but not in other circumstances, and is kind of niche. An F is a hero I just can't see myself using, and that's why Engulf gets an F, right? And then an A, of course, would be a hero that you would use offense, defense, Titans, war, tournament, stuff like that, right? So I just can't see myself using Engulf. You know, I'm trying to think about even like the very fast tournament, would I use Engulf? And like maybe, but this special kind of feels to me like one that should be average speed at least. And then, you know, if they really wanted to make it like a poster type of hero, it could even be fast and not be overpowered. But that's just me. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe it would be overpowered if it were fast, but let me know what you think in the comments. All right, next up, we have another 4-star hero named Sangria. This is actually some really cool art. I like to see this art in the game, so that looks pretty good. This is a blue hero who is a cleric, and that class is like okay. And this hero kind of fits in with other cleric style healers. At average speed, recovers 45% health for the caster and nearby allies. That's actually quite a lot of health, so that's pretty good. But it is only for 3 heroes, not the whole team. The caster and nearby allies get plus 94% defense against nature for 3 turns. I do want to point out that there was a point in Empires and Puzzles where this type of ability, which is not new and has been repeated many times before, it used to be a really good effect. In fact, Ares kind of looks similar as a red hero and 5-star hero that used to be known as like the best tank in the game, right? That was way back towards the beginning of it. But over time, this effect has just kind of weakened to the point that it's okay. You know, you're probably going to use this as a tank in a situation where you need a blue tank, and hope that they don't have the green tiles whenever it starts, because you want Sangria to go off at least once to get that plus 94% defense against nature. And then Sangria is really good. But I see a lot of cases where this hero is just not aggressive enough, not doing enough. Good, not great. Used primarily on defense, maybe on offense, but probably not. So I'm going to go ahead and give Sangria a C. Now we're on to the 5-star heroes. So we have our first one here, Asterius, who is a druid. And that is a class that they've been adding more heroes to, but there weren't a lot of great druids. And I still think there's a lack of really great druids in the game. And so this is one that if you do get this, you probably have some emblems available for. Less and less these days. Druid class is starting to get filled in, but here's another one. As far as the base stats go, the attack stat is really strong. 784 is really, really good. 762 defense, that's amazing too. And then the HP is about average. The special is average speed, which for a 5-star hero, you benefit from the level 23 red mana troop that can make it go from average to fast. Now, of course, that is true of 4 and 3-star heroes too, if you're in a situation where you can put that mana troop on. But, you know, a lot of times you're using heroes in tournaments where if you're at the 4-star level or 3-star level, you're not allowed to use that 4-star troop. So here's one where you can take advantage of that and turn this into a functionally fast hero. I know it doesn't make him fast, but functionally, you know, 3 matches and then he can fire. So that does factor into this a little bit. He deals 235% damage to the target and nearby enemies, reduces the duration of the target and nearby enemies buffs by 1 turn, and the target and nearby enemies receive corrosive burn for 3 turns. The corrosive burn deals 86 burn damage and lowers the target's defense by negative 10% each turn. There's some things about this like that I don't feel very good about and some things that I feel very good about, and I think it balances out a little bit to where if you get this hero, it's fine. He's pretty good. He's probably not going to be your best red hero if you're summoning a lot, but you know, if you're like a mid-game player and you don't have a lot of red 5-star heroes, like, you know, definitely he's going to be up there. What I like best about him is that negative 10% defense each turn. I just think that that's like the most powerful effect in the game whenever you're giving negative defense. And negative 10 is not great, but once it gets up to like 20 and 30, that's a little bit better. So he does get some pluses in my book just because of the negative defense. And also that like 86 burn damage over 3 turns is actually quite a lot. It's not as much as like Gravemaker, and Gravemaker is very fast. So, you know, of course, Gravemaker is like an automatic A, because if you do that effect it very fast, it's going to be great. But this guy does have more abilities than Gravemaker has, so you have to take that into account as well. You know, the 235% damage on top of that is not a lot. That's why I was thinking like nothing about this makes me go, oh man, that's so amazing. It's awesome. But when you consider that the 235% damage with the 784 attack is there, like, it's actually going to do a little bit more damage than usual for an attack percent like that because of the high attack stat. So, you know, for this reason, I think at first look, and I'm not loving that it's average, but I know that I can make it functionally fast. I think, he's okay. But then, you know, when you add up all these abilities, it's pretty good. I don't know that I would use him in every circumstance, but I do think he is pretty flexible. I do think you can use him on defense, probably as a flank. I wouldn't put him on the wing, and he doesn't strike me as a tank either. So he's probably a flank if you get to use him there. You're certainly not going to see top level players using him as a flank too often, but he can definitely service there. And so for that reason, I'm going to give him a B plus because I think he's versatile enough and can be used in enough situations that, you know, he's like borderline, like heading towards an A, but just not quite. Like he's just not quite there for me. Chrysalis. Now, this is some excellent art. Good job, EMP. I love this. This is absolutely fantastic. One thing I've really enjoyed about EMP over the time that I've been playing it is just how nice the art looks sometimes. And you know, this is no exception. So taking a look at Chrysalis, who's a 5-star blue hero, wizard class, which is okay. I think the wizard class has been taking more advantage of its class over time. Like they've been building heroes to fit that class well. So let's see about Chrysalis. The attack stat again is very high at 778. That's very, very high. The defense is also high. So again, another really aggressive hero, one that's going to be tough to kill with regular damage. And this one is a fast hero. Chrysalis deals 150% damage to all enemies, reduces the duration of all enemies' active buffs by 1 turn, and all enemies receive corrosive frost for 3 turns. The corrosive frost deals 42 frost damage and lowers the target's attack by -7% each turn. This hero reminds me of another hero, a hero named Vela, actually. So I think that's a hero who we can most compare this to. You know, that's 778 attack is quite high. The 150% damage to all enemies is not super high, but it is to all enemies, and it's comparable to Vela. You know, how do these other stats compare? There is this extra ability here, reduces the duration of all enemies' active buffs by 1 turn. Honestly, I don't think that matters that much. It's gonna matter a little bit, but there are dispellers in the game. There's so many dispellers in the game, you know, like Guardian Panther and Evelyn and Sashat, and you know, so I mean, even Zaleen, who's another hero who looks a lot like Chrysalis on paper. Chrysalis looks a little different just because the Corrosive Frost acts different than Vela and Zaleen do, but it's got that same kind of like deals some damage over time. Zaleen doesn't do that, but Vela does that, of course, and the negative attack. But these stats are not quite as good, you know, on the special anyway. The base stats are looking pretty good compared to Vela, but the other stats on the card, it's interesting to me they would make a hero that's so similar to Vela, but the stats are like worse. Now, what grade would I give this? Like, I guess first my anchor point is Vela, who used to be an A, but they've nerfed Vela, right? So I think they've probably bumped Vela down. Who I think Vela is still good. I don't think she's an A, but I think she's probably an A minus. So with Chrysalis being a little bit worse, what would I put her at? This is tough for me because Asterius, who's average, does some similar things, and I just graded him as a B plus. So what I'm going to settle on with Chrysalis is because she is more similar to Vela than Asterius, I'm going to go with an A minus for Chrysalis too. I definitely think Vela is a little better, but they're close enough. And I would say that Vela is still an A minus, bordering on an A, while Chrysalis is probably an A minus, bordering on a B plus. It's that fast speed that really kind of puts her over the top. Darklord looks bad. Not bad like bad, but, you know, like, I mean, he looks bad, like he's evil, you know? He's a 5-star purple hero. He's another wizard. Interesting that they have 2 wizards here in this particular class. He's another fast hero. And, oh my gosh, look at that attack stat. 801 without any emblems or anything. That's just crazy. The defense stat, again, is very high. And the HP stat, I would say, is about average or better than average for heroes that they're coming out with now anyway. So he's fast speed. He deals 390% damage to the target. So that's very sniper-like. It's not quite as good as other snipers in the game, but that's pretty sniper-like. With that 801, honestly, the 801 attack and the 390% sniper ability is probably going to end up doing a lot of damage, closer to like what you would see with other heroes that have just a little over 400% attack and like lower attack stats. So he's a sniper. Don't shy away from that 390%. That 801 attack is going to make up for that and is going to deal a lot of damage. Okay, so he is a sniper. Reduces the duration of the target and nearby enemies' buffs by 1 turn. Again, that one, I just don't think that ability matters all that much, but it kind of does. Like an example of where it might matter is, like I said, I think you would bring Dispellers most of the time, but an example is like Krampus, who just came out not long ago. He's got an undispellable defense buff. And so if you can't dispel it, well, you can shorten it with this. So that is an area where you might have an advantage with that. But I would not get hung up on that particular ability. I'm not factoring that into the grade all that much. The target nearby enemies receive corrosive poison for 3 turns. The corrosive poison deals 64 poison damage and lowers the target's mana generation by -9% each turn. And that is a good bit of poison damage over that turn when you consider that he's already sniped, right? So he's a sniper, and now he's doing poison damage. This is like roll like Gravemaker into a sniper, right? Make Gravemaker just a little bit slower, fast hero instead of very fast, but then give him a sniping ability on top of that. Of course, he's not doing as much poison damage as Gravemaker does burn damage either. That would be overpowered, but this is pretty close to being overpowered. And then on top of it, you slow the heroes down. I want to point out something in Empires and Puzzles. That -9% might not look like much, and it's not. But, of course, it's going to go up every turn for 3 turns and really slow the opponent down. You only need to mess up the opposing heroes just a little bit in Empires and Puzzles. That's what I want to point out. You really just have to mess them up a little bit for like 1 turn, just a little bit, and it throws the hero special off by an entire turn in a lot of cases. And that's enough to win in many, many, many cases. So Darklord is definitely one of the better heroes in this set. Do I think he's the best one? Well, I definitely think it's debatable. I do think I saved the best one for last, and I'm going to talk about that. But there's an argument to be made that Darklord is the best hero in this. So for that reason, Darklord gets an A. And I don't typically give A pluses when I do hero grading and things like that, but I certainly would be tempted. I just haven't given an A plus yet. I'm very hesitant to do something like that just because Empires and Puzzles could always like nerf a hero and things like that. And I like to set the bar at A. A is a hero that you're going to use in almost every circumstance. Offense, defense, Titan, stuff like that. It's going to be good everywhere, right? So Darklord is an A. Isrod is a 5-star paladin, and that is another really good class, especially if the special matches it pretty well. The base stats on here are very good. You're not going to see any of these base stats pop out at you like you do on some of the other heroes, but these are a bit more balanced. So that's a really good attack stat, that's a really good defense stat, and that's really good HP. You start putting emblems on this thing and it's going to be real tough real fast. He has average speed, deals 225% damage to the target and nearby enemies. The caster and nearby allies counterattack with 80% of the damage received for 3 turns. So we have another counterattacking hero. And these heroes are like, okay, depending on what the other abilities are. So the last ability on this one is the caster and nearby allies regenerate a small amount of mana for each counterattack. The effect gets diminished for consecutive activations during the same turn. So that's really, really interesting. And so I definitely see Isrod being used more on defense than offense. Like, I can't imagine too many circumstances where you're like, I must take Isrod on offense. But where Isrod would be good on offense is if you're going up against a bunch of heroes that do area of effect direct damage, like Ursina or something like that, right? Because like you put that up and that hero just blows itself up. So that's where it's good on offense, but that's a little bit niche for offense. Maybe not so much anymore these days where there are a lot of heroes like that on defense. Like you've got the bunny on defense too that can just blow herself up with this. So that's got potential. I like what they're doing with counterattack, because when counterattack first came out, and for a long time counterattack was just kind of boring, and I didn't like counterattack because your own heroes had to take damage to deal damage. And that just felt bad to me. Your heroes were still dying, and it wasn't very aggressive. And, well, if they can time the heal on offense, then, But they've started to get creative with adding other abilities to it, which I think was really smart of them. And in this particular one, they're gaining mana. Gaining mana is always a powerful ability. So not only is it dealing damage to the attacking heroes or the defensive heroes, wherever you put Israd, but now your allies are going off a little bit faster each time, which is just amazing. So for a grade, I still think that counterattacking heroes, at least up to this point, they haven't figured out a counterattacking hero, in my opinion, that is just dominant. They're still a little non-aggressive. However, this is starting to get there, but I would give this one of the better grades for a counterattacking hero. I'd say a B+. For Israd. I think that's fair. And I think it has the potential to be a little bit higher. But for now, until counterattack approved to be more aggressive, then I'm going to go with a B+. But that mana thing, depending on how that plays out on defense, I could see a higher grade potentially. And we got another 5-star purple hero, Karnov, who is a monk. And good stats again, 766 attack. Maybe not as high as the other ones, but still very high. Defense is 745 and HP is 1444. So another sort of balanced hero where none of those stats really stand out, but are all very good. This is a slow hero. That always gets a hit in my book. And I know people will probably have comments for me about how I always dog on the slow heroes. I do have to say that the very fast wars and the very fast tournaments have really given these heroes a lot of value. So I do factor that in because those are big parts of the game now. But what it also means is that I don't think the heroes are as versatile as the faster ones, right? But I do think that for a slow hero to be really good, the special just has to end the game. It has to be that devastating because, when you play this game, the slow heroes rarely go off. And when they do, they really need to end it. If they don't end it, they're really not a good 5-star slow hero. So this special deals 290% damage to all enemies. It alters the power of all dark shields on the board. When an attacking hero casts the special, the shield becomes enhanced with plus 64% attack. When a defending hero casts the special, the shields become weakened with negative 57% attack. So we've seen that special before too, but it's in 5-star purple form, right? Now, here's something interesting. There's a drawback. All holy allies get negative 24% mana generation for 3 turns. This effect can't be cleansed. We don't have too many heroes that have drawbacks like that, but this one does. And that's kind of interesting. I don't think it's too big of a drawback because, you have the choice of how you're going to build your team. Just don't bring yellow heroes, you know what I mean? So I'm going to kind of ignore that a little bit, but it does mean you don't have as much flexibility with building your team. Doesn't matter so much for a purple hero who you're not usually making purple and yellow attack teams to begin with, because usually if you're building a purple heavy team, it's because there's a yellow tank. So why would you bring yellow heroes? Anyway, the other special is what matters more. And I think we have found that special that's altering the dark shields on the board to be pretty powerful in some certain circumstances, namely against Titans. That's the main place where it's good, and potentially in events. But man, the slow is really going to hamper this one. This is a very niche hero. The fact that it's slow, you really need to be feeding this guy mana vials and stuff like that, or be in a situation where you can make it go off faster, or where there's the timer going with the Titan. It's going to be really good against Titans and Mythic Titans, I think. But and that 290% damage is a lot. That is a lot, and especially because Karnov has a high attack stat. So I see this hero being used in some circumstances, namely Titans, maybe events. Probably in wars that are very fast and tournaments that are very fast. But I don't see this being a hero that you just bar none use on offense or defense. Certainly not a hero that's overpowered or going to take over the game or anything like that. So for that reason, I give Karnov a C. And lastly, we have a 5-star green hero, Toxicandra, who I believe is the best hero in this particular set. Although I know I'm probably going to get some comments about that because I've already said there's another hero that rivals Toxicandra as being the best hero. People are going to have opinions about that. And when you look at Toxicandra's card, it's probably a little bit boring to look at. This is not a new effect in the game. I do have to say the art, again, the art is beautiful. The art is amazing here. I want to know who their artists are because they're just doing a really nice job with this game right now. But Toxicandra is a cleric. We've already seen another cleric in this particular villain family. The attack stat is again very high at 774. That's kind of been a theme of all of these villains. The defense is good, and the HP is, I'd say, like average for heroes that are coming out now. What makes Toxicandra really good is the special combined with the speed. This is a fast hero, not just a fast hero, a fast healer. Not just a fast healer, but a fast cleanser, which is awesome. We just really haven't seen a hero like this fast cleansing allies. Now, since there's been some nerfs and things, and the meta has shifted. I think it's a very healthy meta in Empires and Puzzles right now. But what that means is, while it used to be that defenses were loaded up with status ailments, that's not the case so much anymore. There's a lot of direct damage dealers these days, but there still is a lot of status ailments floating around there, and it's absolutely mandatory that to be effective in wars and in raids and things like that, you need to have cleansers like this. So check this out. Recovers 24% health for all allies. That's not like mind-blowing, but this is a 5-star fast hero, right? So 24% is pretty good. There's ones that are better, but for fast, that's good. All allies regenerate a moderate amount of mana over 3 turns, so you're speeding up your own heroes. I would love to know what moderate amount means. It's not very descriptive there. And then lastly is the cleansing ability there. So I think this is an excellent hero. Personally, I think this is probably the best hero in the set because of how necessary cleansers are, and the fact that this is a fast healer, which we just don't see too much of. Most heroes of this type that cleanse and heal are average or even slow. When you think about like Kunshin and even like Vivica and stuff like that. So for this reason, I give Toxicandra an A. Of course, if I gave Darklord an A and I think Toxicandra is better, I'm going to give Toxicandra an A. Now, I do have one beef with Toxicandra, and it has nothing to do with the actual functioning of the card. It's just that, like I said, the card itself, the ability is kind of boring because it's not new. We've seen that before. And in fact, there's another hero that's very, very similar. So I'm going to show you what my beef is. If we go into my roster, I'm going to find Ariel. Very, very similar, right? Recovers 40% health for all allies. That's almost double of what the other one does, but this is an average speed hero. Remember that, right? The other one's healing at fast speed. All allies get plus 24% mana generation for 4 turns. Here's my beef with the new card. Why does it say a moderate amount of mana? And like, how does that compare to 24%? I've actually had some beef with how Empires and Puzzles words things on the cards before, that they're not like specific enough all the time, or like the rules, which means something on one card, like the way they word something on one card means something different on another card, and they really need to clean this up. Like, why wouldn't cards that are almost identical like this, except for the speed, why wouldn't they just word it the same? Like, even if they change the percentages, like, is moderate more than 24%? Is it 24%? Is it less than 24%? I don't know. I really couldn't tell you what moderate means. So that's something that Empires and Puzzles I really think you need to fix. Go back, look through all the cards, and just make some. You don't have to change how the card functions. That's certainly not what I'm talking about. But I am saying, like, go back and like change the wording of it to make it more clear sometimes, because I just don't understand that. But anyway, when I go back in here, I'm gonna click on Toxicandra again. I think that this is a hero that's very comparable to Ariel, but does get the benefit of being fast, although the healing is down. Ariel has been an excellent hero for me. I've had her for a long time. Toxicandra is not going to be any different. This is a super useful hero, especially in green, where like, how many green cleansers are there? My gosh, this is filling a really nice gap. So tell me what you think. What's the best hero in this set? Do you like Darklord better? Do you like Toxicandra better? and maybe you like one of the other heroes that I kind of dogged on a little bit more. So let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. That way, when I drop more videos like this, you know, and I will catch you in the next one.